Well, now on our top story, Novak Djokovic's chances of defending his Australian Open tennis title seem to be in limbo for at least another day. Joining us live is Wally Mason, the sports editor at the Australian newspaper. Wally, good to see you. Thanks for your time. After days of twists and turns and leaked correspondence, where have you landed as to who comes out of this the worst? I mean, Tennis Australia has to be a prime candidate.
Good to be with you, Ash. I don't think anybody comes out of this very well, do they? Tennis Australia made them a big mistake of saying, a month ago that everybody had to be vaxxed to play in the Australian Open, and then immediately started sending Novak Djokovic messages that there was ways he could avoid it. The federal government, one of their agencies was saying he couldn't come, and another was saying he could, and Novak, obviously, he's got his own problems. I think everybody looks pretty silly out of the whole thing.
What do you think the likelihood is of the government having another stab at cancelling his visa? We heard today that Minister Hawke's still considering the issue. Well,
Alex Hawkes has said today that he's not likely to say anything about it today. I don't think. He says it's considering it carefully, as he probably should. But at the same time, we've also heard that it appears that Novak might have been a bit less than truthful on his declaration about where he travelled in the 14 days before he arrived in Australia. The suggestion was that he hadn't travelled anywhere other than Serbia, but it seems that he might have been, he might have been in Spain in that 14 days. So that would be grounds for tearing up the visa a second time, I would have thought. But, I hesitate to predict anything in this fiasco. It's just keeps surprising all of us.
What sort of reaction have we seen from other players who are in Melbourne for the Open? And do we know if there are other players who are here who are also unvaccinated?
Well, no, we don't. We know that there's a Czech women's player who it was in the same situation as Novak, and she's gone home. The ATP said in a statement this morning that of the 100 top men's players, 97 were vaccinated. It's not clear. We can make a bit of a guess at who the other two are, but I don't know for sure, and it's not clear whether they're in Australia or not.
And how does the approach that Tennis Australia has taken to all of this compare with the other sporting codes here in Australia? Because they seem to be a lot stricter.
Well, absolutely, and I think they have to be. And you're seeing at the moment all sorts of sports in all sorts of trouble because of COVID. The A-League's in strife and having to postpone games right, left and centre. The NBL is postponing games. The Big Bash League has had to postpone games. More particularly, they've had replacement players brought in, key players have missed out. Even the Australian Test team has been affected. And I think most sporting competitions have realised that if you don't hold a pretty hard line on vaccination, that particularly the Omicron variant at the moment can cause all sorts of chaos with your tournament. I think Tennis Australia has made a big mistake in not holding the line very firmly on vaccinated players, because this Australian Open cannot afford for Omicron to get away amongst players and support staff during the tournament.
That's the last thing anyone wants, but for our viewers sitting at home who are tennis enthusiasts and are far more interested in what's happening on the court than what's happening off it, what are your expectations for the Australian Open this year? Drama aside, do you think we're in for a treat? Are there any particular highlights you look forward to?
I think let's hope we can get beyond this Novak Djokovic fiasco in the next little while, and from the 17th of January, let's hope we're all just concentrating on Ash Barty. I think Ash Barty's in terrific condition at the moment. She's won the Adelaide International last week. Look, playing perfect tennis, playing as well as I've ever seen her, and primed to break the drought of Australians winning the local title. I reckon I'm looking forward to that being the big story rather than this rather unfortunate Novak Djokovic story.
Wally Mason, appreciate your insights as always. Thank you so much. Perhaps we'll touch base with you again once the Open actually kicks off in earnest. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.